right, so have you updated your beneficiary designations? Have you looked into your life insurance? Have you even looked at your asset allocation on your investments? Have you even just seen if you have any unrealized gains or unrealized losses that you can take? Have you done any of this? There's lots that need to be done in 2019, and now that we're basically 3 months into the year, if you haven't done some basic financial planning stuff, let me kick in the butt to get you to do that, can I? All right, so first rule number 1, update your beneficiary designations. When was the last time you confirmed that your beneficiary designations are who you want them to be? So let me give you an example. If I die and I have no one as my beneficiary designation, even if I'm married, will Charlotte get my money? Well, the answer is maybe. Now, obviously, she'll get some of it, maybe not all of it. Maybe it'll go half to her, half to the kids. It's up to you what your state laws say. Either way, though, it will be probated. It's going to be probated because there is no beneficiary designation. Don't do that. Just simply take the time and say, maybe you went through a divorce. Maybe you got married. Maybe you had kids. Maybe this, maybe that. I don't know. Maybe you open a new account. Maybe you close an old account. Maybe you start a new job. Maybe you got new life insurance. Whatever it is, maybe you have an individual account and you got married and you forgot to make it a joint account. Maybe you don't want an individual account. Maybe you need a TOD, a transfer on death arrangement. All these different maybes, but either way, not having a beneficiary designation means you are going to be probated, your assets will. Don't do that. Don't leave your heirs with a probated asset when a simple beneficiary designation could have solved that. Please. All right, number 2, do you have life insurance? If the answer is yes, what kinds? We got term and we got perm. Both those things. That's it. Either you got term or you got perm. Term is very simple. You have $250,000. It says a set premium for 15 years, and after that, the premium changes, okay? And the premium in that case is going to jump up sky high simply because now you're 15 years older and it's more expensive for you. So not much you can do there. Now, some term, most term I hope actually, will allow you to convert it, i.e. you can move that term from a term policy to a permanent policy, a whole life or a universal life policy, without having to go through further underwriting, which is a wonderful option because it might turn out that you need that life insurance. And if you do need the life insurance still, and you have the ability to move it from a term to a perm, but your health conditions have dropped. Oh man, beautiful tulips over there on the side of the road here in Atlanta. Just driving by the Atlanta airport, beautiful yellow tulips. Anyway, if your health has changed, maybe you've been diagnosed with cancer, and you're like, dude, I only got 2 years left to live, and I'm being morbid here, but maybe you're like, your term policy is about to expire, or maybe you say you got 10 years. I mean, I don't know what it is, but your health has declined for some reason. Maybe you've got I don't know, now you got diabetes and you didn't have diabetes when you took out your term policy before. Well, if you want to have the insurance, you want to see if it has the ability to be convertible, which i.e. again just simply means you're able to take the death benefit that you have that's in a term policy right now and move it to a permanent policy that will be there for the rest of your life. Now, here's one of the benefits of a conversion option. You don't have to convert the whole thing. I think a lot of people don't understand how a conversion works. If you got $250,000 of life insurance in a term policy, and you would like to keep some life insurance for the entirety of your life to give to your spouse or your kids or the church or whatever, but you're like, man, that conversion of $250,000 is expensive. Well, just convert $125,000. Just convert $100,000. You can convert whatever you want to convert. You don't have to convert the whole thing. You can convert a portion. You don't have to convert the whole thing. I can't stress that enough. Now, I will tell you right now, it's going to be, you're going to be in a shock mode when you see how expensive it becomes to convert the policy from your previous to what it is going to be now, because it went from a term, and I think only like 1 or 2% of terms actually pay out. And so basically, a term is a wonderful, wonderful way for the insurance company to make money without much risk, because they don't, I mean, they just don't pay that much out. Permanent, on the other hand, because it's permanent, it's there for your whole life, it's a heck of a lot more expensive. Whoa. All right, Atlanta traffic, man. You got Sunday at freaking 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday, and we still got bumper to bumper. It's never good here. It's crazy. Anyway, so perm, what happens is because it's there for your entire life, it's a whole lot more expensive because as you're getting older, it's more likely that they're going to have to pay out, and thus, because you're more likely to die. And so the insurance company isn't stupid. They're going to make sure they get paid accordingly for the risks they're taking. So you're going to see a significant shell shock in the premiums going up from what it was at term to perm. Just keep that in mind. So just be advised, if you're going to do that, it's not going to be the same premium as it was when you had term. I hope that makes sense. All right, it's going to be expensive. That's why if you have a $250,000 term policy and you want to convert the entire thing, just be advised, you don't have to, because the premiums can be pretty high, so you can convert a portion thereof. I hope that makes sense. Now, the second part of that, you don't have to do a universal life. You can do a whole life. Now, universal life will be less expensive because there's more risk to you. Whole life, there is no risk to you. As long as you pay the premium, it is there for your whole life. Universal life isn't like that. Universal life says, hey, it's fluctuating in terms of the interest rates they're going to offer, and it could go away. The policy could lapse before you do, in which case, again, you bore the risk, and the insurance company got all your premiums, and they don't pay a premium, a death benefit out. And that's the drawback about universal life, is that it could be more beneficial to you. In this day and age of low interest rates, it might actually, because the interest rates really have nowhere to go but up. I'm not expecting them to go up anytime soon, but in theory, when the interest rates are higher like they were in 1980s and 1990s, there was a much more risk to the insured you than there is today with interest rates being as low as they are. Awful hard to imagine rates going lower. So when you get an illustration, it's pretty much assumed that that's going to be pretty close to the lowest rate the insurance company has, if that makes sense. But anyway, with a whole life, for a fact, as long as you pay the premium, the insurance will be there for you, literally your whole life, which means the premiums are going to be higher. For universal life, that's not true, so the premiums will be lower because there's just more risk to you. And if the premiums aren't high enough because the interest rates didn't do as well as we anticipated according to the initial contract, you're going to have to come up with more money, which I've seen happen a million times on Sunday. So just be advised. All right, then you also want to make sure your beneficiary designations are up to date there too, just on insurance company, which I just said. So if you are going to do convert a term policy to a permanent policy, it is a new contract. So you got to make sure your new contract also keeps the beneficiary designations as well. I actually didn't talk about this at the beginning. Don't forget your estate planning. Do you have a durable power of attorney? All right, not a general power of attorney. General power of attorney is fine, but the point about a power of attorney is that it allows someone to act on your financial accounts in your absence. All right, now that's great, except a general power of attorney, it ceases at your incapacity. A durable power of attorney stays in force during incapacity, so it stays effective if you're incapacitated, and that's what we need mostly. So a general power of attorney is fine, but at the end of the day, if I'm around, I can take care of myself financially. I don't need my wife to step in. What if I'm incapacitated? What if I had a stroke? What if I can't get to my accounts for some other reason? I'm on a mission trip in Zimbabwe and I forgot to take my RMDs. Well, the investment company isn't going to allow Charlotte to act on my behalf with a general power of attorney typically, because I'm incapacitated. They're going to need to see a durable power of attorney, which again, it lasts throughout while it survives incapacity is what's called. There's another thing called a springing power of attorney, which springs into being once you're incapacitated. I don't like those. Simply because you got to validate, someone's got to validate that you're incapacitated, and that someone that can't be you is going to have to be a doctor. A doctor's going to have to sign off and say, yeah, Josh is incapacitated. Don't do that. Just get a durable power of attorney from the get-go. Now, look, I'm not an attorney. Get legal advice here. Some lawyers, I don't know why, but some lawyers will recommend your durable power of attorney only come into effect with not one, but two doctors signing off on that. I don't see the need for that unless you're part of a fourth marriage or something like that. But if it's you and your spouse of 35 years and you're pretty comfortable with each other, a durable power of attorney that's in effect today is just fine. So on top of the beneficiary designations, get your durable power of attorney. Please double check that your wills. You got to have a will. A will is your ticket to probate. Probate is the public proving of the will. So the will is going to state very explicitly what you want to happen to the probate judge. That's what the will states. So you want to make sure your will is up to date. Is your will from 1922 when Calvin Coolidge was president? Well, that's probably, things have probably changed. All right, so make sure your will is up to date. It's absolutely irresponsible, in my opinion, to have an old will if things have happened in your family, if addition of property, addition of kids. I mean, so many different things could happen. You got to make sure your will is up to date. Number two is that if you have a living trust, is your trust funded? Cannot say this enough. I've talked, probably the 10th time I talked about this on this YouTube channel. An unfunded trust is worth less than the paper the trust is written on. An unfunded trust does nobody any good. Your trust actually needs to own assets. You have to have something in the trust. So you can have a living trust, but if it's just sitting there and the living trust has no asset held in there, you haven't retitled assets from Josh and Charlotte, joint tenants to rights of survivorship, to the living trust of Josh and Charlotte with Josh and Charlotte as co-trustees, then the trust doesn't do anything. If I die, by Charlotte and I die, with a joint tenants to rights of survivorship account, the probate is going to determine who gets the money. But I have a trust. No, you don't have a trust. The trust hasn't funded anything. Trust owns nothing, so the trust has no ownership stake in anything. Man, big accent up here. Yeesh. There's nothing for the trust to do because it doesn't own anything. In that case, it'll be a probate asset. So again, double check to see if you have a living trust, and if so, has it been updated to make sure that it owns assets and owns them properly. I get this question a lot, by the way. Can my trust own my IRA? No, an IRA is an individual retirement account. A trust can only own non-qualified accounts, i.e. investments, property, brokerage accounts, CDs, bank accounts. It can't open qualified 401ks or IRAs. I mean, it can. I mean, in reality, it can, but you'd have to cash out those accounts in order to have the assets liquidated, so that way you can open a brokerage account for the trust to own it. Don't do that because it'll be a huge tax event. So a trust cannot own an IRA, a 401k, a TSP, or 403b. It can't. A trust can be the beneficiary. I highly encourage you to seek legal advice on that. I think it's more of a hassle than it's worth, so I don't think you should do that. But again, I'll leave that up to your beneficiary designations. All right. Part two, markets have jumped up since the beginning of the year. Maybe you sold some stocks, big accent over here. Hey, maybe you sold some, I just pray for these people who are obviously in a world of hurt here. We got a big crash right there. I'm hands-free on this video, by the way. I appreciate a lot of you all asking, wanting me to be safe when I was holding my phone in my hand while I was doing these videos. Oh man, tons of people. Looks like we got the jaws of life. That breaks your heart. All right, so anyway, so basically maybe you sold some stock at the end of the year to take a decline and have some capital losses, which is wonderful. It's a wonderful move. There goes another ambulance. Man, that's like 5 ambulances there, my friends. I bet these are people going on spring break too. Oh man, that's 6 ambulances. Good night. Oh, there goes more. Say your blessings, my friends. Say your prayers. I mean, you just never know. These people, I'm sure, going on spring break, going to Florida, and there's ambulances after ambulances, and I'm sure there's got to be some dead people or some probably wounded people for the rest of their life. Make sure you're saying your prayers, because you just don't know. Yep, there's more ambulances that come down up here. There's a whole bunch of that. It's nuts. All right, so what was I saying? All right, so maybe you sold some stocks at the end of the year to take advantage of capital losses, to lock in those losses, to write off against future gains, and so that way you can use those losses for $3,000 a year against your income as well. All right, so maybe that was a smart move. Well, 90 days have passed now. I'm basically 90, so you're well beyond the wash sale rule, and the market has gone up 15%. So it's not a bad idea to reconsider if you want to buy back some shares that you sold at a loss. Yeah, they probably jumped up a little bit. Maybe they haven't. I don't know. I mean, a lot of times the market is dictated by only a few holdings, actually. So go revisit the stocks that you sold for a loss. See if those puppies are still trying, kind of trading flat to when you sold them. There's a reason to buy them back. The wash sale's behind you now, which means you can keep that capital loss locked in. So go ahead and revisit that. You might have some losses that you were able to to lock in back at the beginning of the end of the year of 2018, and now you have some more holdings that have revisited that have jumped up even more. Well, you might be able to offset some of those holdings that take some gains out of the table in order to sell some holdings and use some of the losses that you banked, your capital loss carry forwards. So just double check your accounts, make sure, see if there's any taxable opportunities that lay for you in which to make moves for sure. Always double check your fees, man. I'm telling you, if you haven't got your 1099, not your 10, I don't think it was the fees. If you haven't got your year-end statement, look at your year-end statement. It'll say on the front page fees. I'm just telling you right now, I know someone who's paying $58,000 of fees. $58,000 of fees, and they're only paying their accountant, let's say, a seventh of that. So who's bringing more value? The accountant who's running a bunch of different real estate things, or the investment manager who's not doing anything, is actually hurting his performance? I think it goes without saying, the accountant is doing a lot better for a whole hell of a lot less money. So double check your fees. There's no reason you should pay $58,000. You're not getting any value of that at all. None whatsoever. There's none. No one can justify charging you $58,000 to manage your accounts. There's no way. So don't do that. Just see what your fees say. Now, look, I get the vast majority of people watching this YouTube channel aren't paying $58,000. I get that. But if you're paying, look, whatever fees are expensive, look, and you'll see the fees on there. If it says $7,000 and you got a $300,000 portfolio, I think that's the wrong answer, my friends, for sure. Don't do that. So just double check and see what your fees are for sure. Is there an opportunity to get out of some crappy high fee investments into something more low fee? And if so, you need to be doing that, because it's just costing you money and you're not getting performance for the fee. There's no study at all that says a higher fee is a better the performance. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I can't stress that enough. All right, so there's some things that come to mind when it comes to financial planning, year-end or beginning. I say, finish up the first quarter of 2019. Let's get this stuff done. Absolutely. And if you have any thoughts of the things I'm missing, I'm just kind of going off the back of my head while I'm driving from Fort Benning, put them in the show notes. If you got ideas that I forgot here, put them in the show notes and see what we got. Oh, lastly, when it comes to life insurance, if you have a permanent policy that has cash value, a universal life or a whole life, get an in-force illustration. An in-force illustration will say how strong the policy is going forward. You need to get an in-force illustration every 3 years. Just call your insurance guy or your insurance company, Northwest Mutual, Mass Mutual, whatever it is, and say, hey, Joe, I got a policy with you guys we took out in 1999. I haven't got an in-force illustration. Let me get that. And Joe's going to say, oh, okay, yeah, sure. He'll be shocked because no one asked for these things. So get that in-force illustration and have Joe, and if you don't know Joe anymore because he's since moved on, have the company walk you through how to read it. There's a lot of information there, but it's critically important to understand. So have them walk you through it. Is this policy going to stay strong in terms of the oncoming for the future? And that's what the in-force policy shows you. How strong is the policy in force? Will it stay in force given certain scenarios of guaranteed minimum interest rates, guaranteed fees, current interest rates, and things like that? Get that in-force illustration once every couple of years. It's absolutely critical to do that for sure. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Tom.